Hello and welcome back. I'm here today to talk about the benefits of self-compassion. I consider it a superpower in my personal life, but also I integrate it in my coaching and counseling practice. If you're new to this channel, I'm Vivian Morgan. I'm a licensed counselor and I'm also an empowerment coach. Self-compassion is honestly a superpower. It provides so much boost to your inner dialogue, your self-esteem, your resilience. If you're a person who suffers from overthinking, or maybe you've had a lot of background noise and there's a lot of rumination happening, or you've got a really strong inner critic, which many of us do, and also, if you're in a particularly difficult time of life where you're suffering, and when I say suffering, I mean like emotional suffering, where you're really struggling with moving through a transition or a difficulty in your life, which, let's face it, we all do. Every human suffers emotionally at one point or another. So, self-compassion is one of those um, honestly, it's just such a backbone of the work that I do because when you really embrace it, you'll see the benefits that come from it. So if you're a client of mine, you've probably done a self-compassion exercise in our work together, and I hope to introduce one at the end of our time today. So I want to share my screen with you and talk about some of these benefits so that you really, really get it. I think that sometimes folks kind of think of it as, I don't know, not really woo woo, but just like it's not necessary, like it's not a big deal. And they overlook the benefits of actually befriending yourself. So I want to talk about what it is and what it can do. So first of all, what is self-compassion? It sounds like, oh, just being compassionate and kind to myself. Okay, I do that all the time. You probably think you do. But I really want to bring not just an awareness to it, but this intentional understanding of what being self-compassionate is. So first of all, yes, it is being kind to yourself. It's talking to yourself like you would a friend without judgment, though. It's this understanding that is non-judgmental, and it doesn't depend on what you do or what you say. It's just, I get it. I get what you're going through, and I understand that it's very hard. And you're offering this emotional support to yourself in a way that feels comforting. So maybe for you, self-compassion is placing your hands on the heart and going, whoa, that was a tough conversation. Let me just take a minute, get a cup of tea, and just breathe. That's a self-compassionate moment. Maybe for you, it's taking a walk and clearing your head, just trying to find a way to take care of your body, take care of your mind, and let yourself know, I deserve this. I need this. I deserve this. And this is good for me. I deserve my attention too. That's a self-compassionate statement. And it doesn't involve comparing yourself. So a lot of times we'll leave difficult circumstances, conversations, interactions, and we'll criticize ourselves. Like, why didn't I say this? Or why didn't I do this? And it's not about that. It's about understanding the feeling state that's under that and bringing some compassion to yourself. And lastly, and this is so important, it's just realizing you're not alone in these struggles, these thoughts that you have. You leaving an interaction and doubting something you said or how you looked or how you interacted is very common. We all do that. So you're part of this larger humanity and you're bringing this kindness, mindfulness, awareness that you're part of a group of humans that all tend to do this very natural interaction that you're having with yourself and encouraging yourself that you're going to make it. I'm part of a larger group of people that overthink these things. I'm going to breathe into it, let the interaction go, um, and encourage myself like, Don't worry about it. You're fine. You're next time you can change the way you say that and don't be so hard on yourself. You're going to make it. Though that kind of self-talk. And it can be particularly important because, as I mentioned earlier, we have this inner critic that can reign very strong and powerful. And sometimes when our inner critic is strong and powerful, it can be paralyzing. We could leave interactions and think, oh my God, and we just kind of go catastrophic. Or an event will happen to us, or we're going through something, and in the moment, you might even think, I'm not going to get through this. This is too hard for me to bear. Self-compassion is a way of letting you know that you are there for yourself, that you have the resilience and the fortitude and the understanding. I understand you. I've got you to yourself. How many times do we do that with friends and we don't really give it to ourselves? So here are some of the benefits. First of all, when you are compassionate towards yourself, it reduces your negative reactivity. It makes sense, right? And that whole um, idea of you being a part of an entire population that has very similar reactions can help you feel connected to others and not so alone. So it helps you bounce back from things that you're going through. And it creates this adaptable mindset. Basically, you're able to adapt and move forward, and you're bouncing back. You're bouncing back from whatever happened. You're not getting stuck. So because you're able to do that, it's going to help with anxiety and depression, which are kind of stuck states if you really think about it. Um, Anxiety and depression are when you're outside of what we call in the therapy world, your window of tolerance, the amount of stress that you can manage on the day-to-day basis. When you're anxious or depressed, you're outside of that kind of copacetic state where you're managing things. And we can get stuck in these states. And so when you have self-compassion, it helps you get back into the window of tolerance so that you can manage these states better. And let's face it, you're going to have healthier relationships when you can bounce back after these things. So research shows that it actually helps with inflammation in the body, because if you do any research, or you're into the kind of wellness, the mind-body connection, inflammation can be caused by stress. And stress is very much a mind-body experience. We feel it in the body. We actually have physical reactions to our thoughts. If I asked you to think about a stressful situation, your body would actually start to get activated. And that's how strong that connection is, even though you're not even in that situation anymore. But if I ask you to think about it, to go there, you will start to get activated. And what happens is all of this stress on the body can be very damaging to cells and to neural networks, but also increases inflammation. So it reduces that aspect of that mind-body connection. This is all one system, really. And so it addresses even some physical manifestations of stress. And because you're adaptable, you're more flexible, and it creates this growth mindset. So you're more able to try, risk taking, or attempt to try new things. It encourages you to keep trying because you're not so stuck in results, or in the emotional state that you're in. You're able to be a little more flexible. And obviously, it reduces self-criticism, which is the inner critic aspect of things. So how do you do this self-compassion thing? So first of all, you need to turn towards your pain. And let's face it, when we are uncomfortable, we turn towards things that make us feel comfortable. This is the human condition. And I do think I have a little spiel I go into with people. Like, I think that we're addicted to comfort in our country, maybe in every country, but we have so many things that can bring us relief in our world, distractions. We've got substances, and we've got, we'll go and we'll scroll to kind of get our minds off of things, or video games, or, we have a lot of things that help us get away from the pain so we don't have to feel it. So, first of all, we want you to turn towards your pain. And I know that's hard. And this is why it sounds like such an easy thing to do, but most people aren't really doing it, because most people will turn away from their pain. They don't want to look at it. They'll distract themselves. They'll do something, medicate themselves, so they don't have to really look at their pain. So, number one, got to turn towards your pain. The second is, what would a friend say to you? How can you be kind to yourself? So you're asking that inner critic part of you that says, "Oh, you should have done this, you should have said that." You're asking that part of yourself to just give you a second, just maybe to step aside or to dial it down a minute so that you can be more compassionate to yourself. And you might even have to actually directly say, "Please, inner critic, it's going to ask you to step to the side or just dial it down a minute so I can introduce a new way of being. And what I really need to hear right now is whatever you need to hear." So that, look, that was a tough conversation. Of course, it was difficult. You love this person, and they're not being kind to you. So whatever it is, tell yourself whatever you need to hear. Like, I'm going through a really hard time right now, and it's normal to feel depressed. Of course, you're going to be depressed. Anybody in your position would feel that way. So I get it. So the second step is just, what do you want to hear? What is it that is meaningful for you to hear? The third is to tell yourself you're not alone in this, or think of somebody else who's been through this, that maybe somebody you admire, or maybe just somebody that you love and care about, or just it even could be, it's where a lot of the social media bonuses and aspects that are positive are people who share their personal stories around the pain that they're experiencing. So know that you're not alone. You're not alone in your recovery, whatever it is. The fourth is, and this is just, this is a self-compassion practice that starts with you, but also extends into your community and into the greater world. So share with other people what you're going through. When we share our life experiences, we are less likely to feel shame. And shame is something we don't often think about, but self-compassion is an antidote to shame. Shame happens whenever an incident happens in your life and you feel like if anyone knew about this, they would just they would just not like me, not respect me. They might even, you know, not ever talk to me again, or I would be rejected. So it's very much related to rejection. And we as a species need each other. We're pack animals. We need to live, and we regulate with each other and live with each other. We need companionship and interactions with others. We actually need that emotionally, physically. We are meant to be social beings. So when you share this with other people, you reduce the shame. You also get that bonus. Somebody's going to say something to you, likely, that makes you feel good. You're not alone. Okay, I'm really sorry that happened to you. They're going to be compassionate towards you, and that's going to increase your ability to be compassionate to yourself. So just a note here, if you share it with, and this has definitely happened to me, if you share something that happened to you and some suffering that you're going through, and you have a friend who's not compassionate or who is critical of you, I've had that happen to me. And I encourage you, just make a note of that. Try not to take that personally. because that's the other person's, belief system and whatever their limits are in being able to be empathize with others and allow them to keep that distress. So don't take that on. Okay, that's not the person I should share this with. And just make that mental note. This is not really someone that I feel comfortable sharing with. So now I know that, right? Um, the fifth step is to try to get physically stronger. I just talking to somebody today about confidence, how confidence is such a physical thing. And when we're physically stronger, we're mentally stronger. I discovered this going through my own recovery, that I would just kind of languish in it. And I discovered that when I started moving my body, even if I didn't want to, just like get up, get going, that whole like Nike thing, just do it. Um, Walking, maybe I just did a little bit of exercise, starting small, that when I felt physically stronger, I felt mentally stronger. I felt like, oh my gosh, I actually feel better today. I feel like I can cope better today. And this is all part of self-care too. So the sixth step is self-care, whether it's a cup of tea, making sure you get enough sleep, making sure you're eating as healthy as you can, getting your vegetables and your fruits, those kind of things, making sure you're adding that to your diet and that that's a good staple in your diet. Making sure that eating well, sleeping well are certainly important, but moving your body, all the things that we kind of just assume that we're all doing when we're having a tough time, you might not be doing those things. You kind of let those things go and we turn away from the pain, right? And we eat, the stuff that's not so good for us, or we take substances that aren't good for us, or we tend to not be so mindful of our physical activity. So I really want to encourage that you do those kind of things. And hygiene too. Hygiene's part of self-care, making sure you take time to care for your body in a loving, supportive way. That is self-compassion. So I'm going to bring us back to together and do a self-compassion exercise with you. So first of all, I want you to bring up something that might be difficult for you to go through in your life right now. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's an interaction with someone that just happened. Maybe it's an ongoing chronic issue with work. But just bring that up, kind of pull that up in the mind and see if you can focus on that for just a few seconds. So pulling up that content. And noticing where in your body you're starting to experience a sensation. Everybody's stress response is different. You may be a heart-centered person and feel a lot of things in your chest. I know a lot of people will feel it in the neck, the trapezius muscles here, or the belly. So sometimes I'll put a hand on the chest and on the belly just to kind of let these parts know that I'm hearing you. So first of all, it's just this physical awareness. If you've got a trapezius kind of squeeze, you can give yourself just a quick little massage there, like, ooh, I'm feeling that. hmm And now take a few nice, slow, full breaths here. In through the nose and pulling the breath all the way down. You can feel it going through your esophagus, your chest, all the way to your belly, and see if you can feel that movement of the breath. And letting it out nice and slow. And now the next time you pull it in, feel the fullness in the belly. And you may already be feeling a little more relaxed just doing that, that fullness of the belly. And in essence, you're telling the body, even though you're thinking about this stressful thing, you're actually okay. You're safe. So now we're going to have the mind send some compassionate messaging to yourself. And that might be like, that was really a difficult situation. Or you're going through a really hard time right now. Understood. Of course you are. This person's important to you. Or maybe you're going through a loss and you're like, oh, of course. It's understandable that this loss is very personal and deep and difficult. Understood. And showing some empathy for yourself. Of course. Of course, you're having a difficult time. Ah, nice and slow breaths. Yeah. And now this kind of expansion into the greater world. I know other people who are going through this with me. We've got a lot of environmental and political distress in our country and our world, and other people are going through that too. You're not alone. And even the aspect of whatever loss you might have had, if you're going through that, other people have felt that in your family too. And certainly other people have felt a loss before, in a similar way. They're not you. You're going to experience it in your way, but they've experienced the loss, and you're not alone. And you might tell yourself, I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this. This is a universal feeling. I can promise you that whatever you're going through is a universal feeling. Our bodies are made to feel, and you have the equipment to manage your feelings. You do. You were given that too. So taking a breath and reassuring yourself that you're part of a greater worldview, greater life experiences that know exactly what that might feel like for them. It's very similar to what you feel like. You are not alone. Taking a few more breaths here, and now revisiting that thought, that original thought that produced whatever feelings in your body. And notice if there's anything still there, any distress that's still there. And if there is, put a hand on that part of the body if you can, if it's convenient. And just maybe a pat, 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 pat. Sometimes I'll do a little rocking and a gentle just stroking. This is very similar to, in your childhood when you were distressed, maybe a parent or a caregiver said it's okay. And if you did not get that, you're also not alone. Some people didn't get that love and attention, but you're going to give it to yourself right now. Just some rocking and squeezing. I'm here for you. Yeah. Okay. Ah, thank you for joining me, and I hope that was helpful. Love to hear from you if you have the time. And I hope that you can start integrating some of this in your day-to-day life. It really, you don't even need to be going through something stressful to introduce self-compassion in your life, but it's especially helpful when you are. Take care, and thanks for joining me.